Well, yeah, and China is the thing because you have to think of it as China didn't was never colonized, right? They had successions of imperial empires, but they were never colonized from the outside. They were formed as a nation to adhere to fend off people from the outside, right? So China's entire, like, that's what I meant about, like, they don't even, their minds are formed different than ours. Like their understanding of like what a state is and like how a state is formed and the justification for a state and why a state is different than ours. It's completely different, like, understanding. And because of that, so think of it as colonization is like this binary framework, right? Where there's like it's taking this vast diversity and striating it into organized lines of class, striating it all into class. And that comes out of feudalism. That comes out of the class structure advancing into a more mobile but still class dominated social structure where feudalism just advances into capitalism, which makes it so that capitalism, the feudal bonds are relinquished, and so that social mobility and like money, like you can become rich as a peasant could become rich. That's the way that like the colonization mindset worked, the way that because of like through the process that we went from feudalism to like mercantilism to nationalism to capitalism to pure individualism now that we're in right now, right? That's like the our mind was like gradually formed that way. That's how we think. In the East, like the Orientalist, they don't see it that way. They don't have those striated class structures. They have one class structure because Genghis Khan literally killed everybody to make it so that like there is no class. You're all with me, right? So like they would like raise cities to the ground is a concept of like they would go into cities and where they would go into a city like a place where the only thing that kept the social arrangement the way that it was the social bonds. So they would just go and kill and get rid of the social bonds by just killing all the ruling class so that you don't even need to take them over. You just make it so that no, there's no more social class. You're all with me, right? And that's how like Genghis Khan and like those emperors and like that mentality is different than like the colonizer mindset where they had it all based on like this outward expansionist idea where the Khans, the Genghis Khan was in defense of their land, right? So like that's the best way that I can describe it is like because they had the steppe, they had the land, the steppe, the path, the mountains, the elevation. They were able to protect their land by just their geography, and that made it so that they were enabled to be like intruded upon by like colonizers, but on like the ground they always had to defend themselves from outside forces, made it so that they were always oriented to a collective, whereas outside of their little collective of Asia we were all fending for ourselves.